So this is, if you like, the tool being prepared. Physically strong, mentally stable, highly rational, intellectually very sharp. See, all these are endearing aspects. Before we even talk of spirituality and God, you need this. These are prerequisites, and this young man possessed all of them. There are certain obstacles that also we meet at a young age, at this particular age. And the obstacles are, you see, this is the biggest obstacle everybody faces, is the issue of gender attraction. This is the biggest distraction. When you are 20, 18, 20, 22, when your whole system is fired up, you at the same time, unfortunately or fortunately, at the same time, tremendous gender attraction is inevitable. It is going to appear. It appears in the lives of every human being. It's a strong, if you like, this strong drive that we all have. We cannot avoid it. In a way, it becomes a major distraction, and if this particular drive is harnessed, it becomes the greatest asset that you possess. So from very young days, when this young Vivekananda was becoming a young man, this gender attraction somehow always seemed to offend him. He seemed to kind of get annoyed by it. He was irritated by it. And of course, he would, at later stage, somebody asked him, Swamiji, surely when you were a young man, you must have been attracted to some women or girls or something, surely, as a young man. And this Vivekananda was very candid. He would not hide anything. He would discuss everything very openly. He's a guileless fellow, like a child. You discuss, you say, yes, yes, yes. When I was young one day, I had those kind of feelings, he said. He didn't discuss towards which girl. He said, I had those kind of feelings. The moment those feelings arose, I felt very disgusted with myself. Look, why does it happen? I'll tell you in a minute. He said, I felt thoroughly disgusted with myself. You may say, that's a good thing. We all feel ticklish. What's wrong? No, he said, I felt thoroughly disgusted with myself. And I looked around and I saw an open fire, sagadi with charcoal burning. Those days is how you cook. He said, I saw that. And I said, and I went and sat on top of it. Now you see this part again, like the story of Ramakrishna saying, oh Mother Goddess, show yourself to me, otherwise I'll chop my head off. This part of the story comes with a health warning. Now if I tell the modern youth today, whenever you go to the ticklish finish, go and sit on a fire, I think we'll have ambulances left, right and center. This is not meant for the ordinary. This is meant for the extraordinary. Why does he get annoyed with himself? Let me tell you why. It is not because they are spoil sports. You see, from many lives, they have developed this one-pointedness which allows them to transcend the idea that I am the body. That is ingrained in their character. They cannot allow themselves to be dragged down to the thinking that I am the body. They always seem to be higher than the body. So anything that in a way reinforces the idea that I am the body, they dislike. That is why this Vivekananda was, even though he was physically very strong and very careful about his physique, this idea that kind of drags him down, turns him into a whimpering animal, is something he can't allow. It doesn't agree with him. Because for many lives, this person must have been a celibate. And the idea of being attached, you see, the thing that makes you attached to your body or link yourself to your body, in no uncertain term, it rubs your nose in it, is the gender attraction. Because this physical body is attracted to that physical body. And this gender attraction is the way that you kind of become strongly ingrained with the idea that I am the body because I must chase after another body. So when you want to lift yourself up, this idea of body, the only way you become strongly linked to the idea that I am the body is because this body is attracted to another body, and that is dangerous. And this is, in a way, makes him uneasy. It doesn't happen to the rest of us. And as I said, we are not even suggesting that you all go and sit on open fires. But he's telling very candidly, oh yes, I had one experience like that, he said. But he says, since then I've never had that ticklish feeling. You can imagine why. And he would show those burn marks to his colleagues, not to everybody in the public, but he would show those burn marks. This is what happened to me when I had these ticklish feelings. This is what happened to me. He would show those marks. And they would smile and laugh. Look, this is not meant for the ordinary. This is the story of an extraordinary personality come for an extraordinary task. Well, we can just look at him and just smile. So this idea of gender attraction never took his attention, never drew his attention. Again, you see, when he developed tremendous memory. Again, this is recorded. Later on, when he became famous, he was in Germany at one time. He was staying with somebody called Professor Deussen. And he went to his library in the morning, and Professor Doyson was having his breakfast or getting ready, and pulled out a book and started to flick. And then Professor Doyson came, addressed him. He wouldn't look, he was just doing that. And Professor Doyson, maybe he's kind of moody fellow, doesn't respond when I question him. And then when he put the book down, he said, "But I was calling you." He said, "I didn't hear you. I was reading the book." He said, "You're reading, you're flicking the pages. You're not reading the book." "Oh no, I was reading the book." "How can you read the book like that?" He said, "You'd ask." He wasn't a show-off. This Vivekananda was not a show-off. He said, "Ask me anything from this book." It was a huge volume. And this Professor Doyson took out that volume, said, "Page number 546, third paragraph." And this Vivekananda, the whole paragraph, word for word, including punctuation, would come out. And later they said, "Where did you develop this? How did you develop this power?" He said, "Just celibacy." You see, once you harness, if you can stand up against this most powerful force that every human being feels, this tremendous generator, if you can stand up against it, the power it generates, the confidence it generates within you is so dramatic, you can achieve anything. And your power of one-pointedness becomes very visible. You can do anything. So reading this, he said, the moment I look at a book, just a few words in the beginning and the end, I know the whole of it. I don't know why, it just comes. The whole of book I know straight away. And this was his life. So again, this gender attraction is a major distraction for any youngster, any religion. And here is this man saying, look, you see, let me tell you why I am focusing on this idea of gender attraction. Most Hindu youth relate to the idea of Hanuman. They love Hanuman. Most Hindu youth relate to the idea of Hanuman. In fact, if you go to universities, they'll be doing Hanuman Chalisa regularly, and this is the way the Hindu society gets together, and this is their main feature, Hanuman Chalisa, repeating it. So we say, very good, Hanuman Chalisa, marvelous idea. This Hanuman is a masterful person. Of course, we all like him. And when you look at all the kind of storytellers and people who do narration about Hanuman, of course, they exalt his virtues, and we all know it. And they will talk about Bala, buddhi, dayak. He is the one who gives us strength, and buddhi, Bala, buddhi, dayak. But you see, most of the modern proponents of Hanuman forget to mention the third one. If they mention the third one perhaps too often, they will lose their congregation very fast. And the third aspect of Hanuman, which they sometimes forget to mention, is Bala, buddhi, Brahmacharya. He was an absolute celibate. Never a thought would cross. You see, this gives that unique dignity. The moment you're able to do that, you can master your whole being, because you master the most powerful force that flows through your system. You already harnessed it, that allows you to lift yourself up. So here is this. Remember when I was doing the story of Swami Vivekananda as a young boy, I mentioned the fact that one day this little boy, 4 or 5-year-old boy, was listening to the story of Hanuman, this little Narendra. In a Purana he was doing the story, and he was fascinated by Hanuman. All youngsters are drawn by Hanuman. He's a superhero. Surely we like Superman. And he said, "Maharaj, where can I find Hanuman?" And Maharaj said, how to, this little boy, guileless little boy is asking what to do. He said, "Hanuman lives under the banana tree." So this little boy decided, he knew a banana tree in the neighborhood. He said, okay, so easy to find Hanuman. He went and sat under the banana tree until it was dark. It became night time. He would still not leave. The poor boy stood there waiting for Hanuman to appear. It was getting dark. The parents were looking for the little boy. He disappeared. And after a very long wait, this little boy, Narendra, went home, knocked on his doors. The parents opened, "Where were you, Narendra? We were looking everywhere for you, so late. Where were you?" Now this boy was trying to be very brave. He was a brave chap, of course, we know that. He was being very brave. But you see, he's a 4-year-old, guileless chap. He's thoroughly frustrated because Hanuman did not turn up. He burst into tears. He said, "Mother, I waited for Hanuman under the banana tree. He didn't turn up." And the mother said, how to pacify the little boy. She looked at the boy and said, "Don't worry, my boy. You know Ram keeps Hanuman so busy. He must have sent him on an errand. Don't worry. One of these days you will meet Hanuman." What meet Hanuman? This boy is Hanuman. Think about it. What does Hanuman do? Bala, buddhi, Brahmacharya, established in all these three. This is what gives Hanuman his uniqueness. You see, again, they go together. People don't realize they go together. You see, the reason you can get physical health, physical kind of well-being, strength through exercises and through wrestling and swimming as Vivekananda did, but the real strength that you require, the mental strength that you require, buddhi, comes from Brahmacharya. This is the source of buddhi. And you see, again, with strong buddhi, this is, if you have this strong intellect, this sharp intellect, it allows you to make sense of the world in no uncertain, in a very clear manner, in a very structured, very focused manner. And if you want to understand religion, you need that. This is your prerequisite. This is your first requirement. If you are just struggling, you're not a clever person, you're not going to suddenly become spiritually enlightened. You need all these faculties, and we see this very visibly. So I tell the youngsters, look, you talk of this ancient Hanuman. I told you the Hindus are stuck. Even though we criticize other religions, people of other religions, saying you are stuck in a rut with your ancient prophets and your ancient books, we are modern and we got this. We say that, but we are equally stuck. So I told these youngsters, I said, look, you are doing Hanuman, marvelous stuff. I love Hanuman. That's why I was drawn to Hinduism. I loved Hanuman too, the superhero flying about. I love that guy. But now grow up. That Hanuman came with a tail. This one has no tail. And he lives in your time. And he gives you the same message of strength. He's here, the carrier of message of strength in your time, in your language. And you want to continue to ignore him and keep repeating that old one? Grow up, evolve, evolve. See, this is the idea with Vivekananda.